Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. This is Matthew Harris and the Meredith Loughran. Did I ever say that right? Loughran or Loughran?
Loughran.
Loughran. I had it right the first time. Uh, with GeekInsider.com, and we are here in the CyberCon, and we're bringing you an altered state of consciousness, and we're calling it that because, well, we're not used to late night shows. This is late for us. I'm old, and Meredith is on the East Coast. But we couldn't resist being a part of CyberCon. Of course, we're friends with them because they believe in the same things we believe in, and the show this weekend has been phenomenal. We want to thank everybody that's been tuning in so far because Kevin was with us earlier, or we were with Kevin earlier, and he was explaining that the show or the con has had more viewers than were expected all weekend, and we had it halfway
by about 3 times as much.
Right.
I think he was saying, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They said that they were expecting a total of 25,000 over the entire weekend, and we're already at 75,000.
Yeah. Let me put this up here because he posted this earlier.
There we go.
Look at that.
Aha.
And we're only halfway done. Well, I mean, I think we're a little bit more done than that because he posted this maybe a hair over an hour ago. And it was, I mean, this is a huge event, guys. Huge event.
If you're out there listening, everybody, do us a favor. Copy that down, the facebook.com/HWWS-CyberCon, to pass it on your wall. Get folks to start watching and listening. If you don't want to listen to us, remember, there's a lot of other stuff going on right now. It's not just us. I'm not sure what the schedule is right now. I don't have it up in front of me, but I know last night it went all night long, of course. It's going all night long again tonight. And they've got cosplayers. They've got special guests. They've got panels. And then, of course, there's the folks that are setting up and giving some great deals on comics and collectibles. And of course, all of that is helping these shops stay open, or not stay open, but survive, pay rent, eat. But Meredith and I, like I said, we couldn't resist being a part of CyberCon. Everybody came over and helped us last weekend with Geek Out Virtual Con. And that's one thing that we did want to take a moment to do. Last night, we were on at the same time, and we thanked quite a few of our co-hosts and some of our special guests, but we didn't get through the whole thing. And and we may miss you. If we do miss you, I assure you it's not intentional. We had a lot of people that last weekend. But Meredith, you got your cheat sheet there.
I've literally got my list, and I don't know we've got 2 hours to kill, and it's just late night, and we're like 2 hours to fill. That shouldn't be too hard. And then like I said, it's been a long. Well, let's just say it's been a long 2 weeks or 2 weekends, and I'm telling you what, if you guys do anything to make me work next weekend, I'm going to be kicking somebody's ass.
Well, Rhett and I were talking earlier, and no, I'm just kidding. We know we know better. We're letting you off next weekend, I assure you. And folks, like I said, we did Virtual Con last weekend over at GeekInsider.com.
Yeah, Geek Out Virtual Con.
And we had a blast, but we put it together really quick. It just kind of blew up, just like this one did. They had their idea almost simultaneously, and then that's how, well, not how, we knew the guys, but everything kind of started intertwining. Yeah. But it just really blew up, and we put together a pretty daggum nice show, if I do say so myself, in a short amount of time. That being said, before Meredith gets to the thank yous, you need to make sure that you follow Independence Day, or Independence Con, and that's NDINDIE, PendanceCon.com, because we had such a blast, and because we're so much into helping the indie comics and indie filmmakers and writers, we are doing another show. We're doing it in July. It's going to be the weekend after Independence Day, so it's July 10th, 11th, and 12th. Of course, we're going to have a lot of guests, and we don't charge the guests to be there, just like CyberCon and like we didn't do last weekend. And so make sure you tune in. But like I said, if you're not enjoying the show tonight, because we are very relaxed. We always tell our guests we're very laid back. We don't have a language filter. You can't offend us, and so say whatever you want. And that's kind of the way we're going tonight. We just wanted to be a part of the con and gives folks a little insight on Geek Insider. Kind of give a little insight if you're out there and you're considering throwing a con. We're going to discuss some of the highs and lows next week with Kevin and Rob. We'll get the details out on that, but we're going to kind of mix our put our heads together and discuss what we learned at Geek Out Virtual Con, what they've learned this weekend. Because while we of course think that the brick and mortar cons will be back eventually, we are of the opinion that it could be a little bit, and then even once they're back, the virtual cons are still going to go on. Kevin made some announcements earlier about NSCLiveTV.com going global, international, and then also that we've added more channels, and that we're doing a hey, TC Ford, contact me at info@geekinsider.com, and then watch the independencecon.com. I got to remember how to say that flowing. Your mic's off. Mic's off. Your mic's off. You're sitting there talking.
Damn it, that mute. Yeah, damn it, that mute button. No, we should have thought about the name, because that's quite a tongue twister. Independencecon.com.
But yeah, it's the weekend after Independence Day, and like I'm sorry, I don't have the chat up, so I can't see the name. Hey Thomas, Jackie, same thing. Either Matthew at geekinsider.com or just info@independencecon.com. You can watch the website right now. It's just a placeholder, but we do want anybody, if you were at Geek Out Virtual Con last weekend, but you got something new to announce in July, especially if things are open, we're starting to get seasons filming again. Or we didn't have you, especially if we didn't have you. And if you're an independent filmmaker, writer, comic book artist, anything independent, just don't come to me and say, I'm an independent filmmaker and I've got a film coming out with a $17 million budget, because you're not an indie. And while we may still want to discuss having you on as a guest, it's not what we're looking for. I'm not
maybe not for that event, because it's a 3-day event. And here's the thing, we're taking notes of what we did right and what had gone wrong last weekend with Geek Out Virtual Con. We're really paying attention to what these guys at HWWS-CyberCon are doing here, and we'd like to try and combine forces, with the power of the internet and the power of networking, and kind of feeding off of each other, and gaining viewership from all of these different resources, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then here's the other thing is, with the indie cons, we're not excluding people who participated in these events. But we don't want to be like exactly. It's like, of course we have our friends, and there's something to be said about a little bit of nepotism, but we don't want it to be a big old circle jerk either. I mean, it's great to invite people. We all have things that we want to say. But if you're just like thinking about launching a Kickstarter, we're a couple of months out. All right. So there's lots of time to plan, and, you kind of know what your schedule is and things. So, I mean, if you've got a Kickstarter, if you've got a premiere or something like, just anything like that, we just don't want to take everybody and just throw you into another con, because then that gets tiring. Right. And the point is that we're really trying to reach as many people as we can, kind of give them a platform, because if you've gone to geekoutvc.com, our website, we still have our landing page there. Most of the special guests have their profile pages. Believe it or not, even though we're a week out, we are still putting profile pages up, because the backlinks from our website, and we've got some really decent traffic to our website. Those backlinks are going to help you get noticed, whether it's on your, the SEO, or just maybe showing up a little bit higher on the search ranks. So that's kind of like our way of saying thank you. And again, it's not one of those things where we're out to make a buck off of it. It's kind of in a way, and maybe we'll speak about this later. It's a means to a way. So by having interesting people showing their content and sharing their story, because we are geek insiders, so we want to get inside the geek. We want to talk about the process and what you're doing. With that being said, we want to, by having that traffic, by having your audience follow us, it helps us when we get sponsorships like Mobile Edge, Q, Cards the Universe and Everything, Blue Man. These are all different sponsors, and you've seen us pop up their ads, and you'll hear them in our podcast. You'll hear them on our live stream. You're going to hear them in our YouTube videos and stuff. Because that actually helps us so that we don't have to charge just to keep the lights on. And in the long run, if you think about whether it's operating costs, anybody who has a small business knows this. You have your operating costs and you have to cover your overhead. So it'd be nice to pay the bills, but not at the expense of you, the indie creator. So I just wanted to put that out there. Matt, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the only thing is, for me on this is, she mentioned the Kickstarter, but if you have a project that you're passionate about, but you're not quite sure how to get rolling, whether it's writing, it's your artwork, you're wanting to do a screenplay, whatever the case may be, make plans to tune in that weekend, because we try, as our name says, the Insider, we try to get the inside aspect of it. We try to get the idea into the people's working process, what they had to go through to get to where they are. If we have somebody that is a mainstream writer and they're a mainstream comic artist, we try to find out what steps they took to get there, so that it can give you some insight, that insider info on what you may need to do. And we get a lot of great tips out of these folks. We have met so many flipping nice people in just the last 2 weeks, let alone the last couple of months, that are talented, that are just willing and excited to share what they know and how they can help anybody. And then, we usually do some cool stuff as well, as far as prizes and stuff like that. But going back to what we were saying, that the virtual cons are not going to go anywhere. We're not trying to replace the brick and mortar cons. We talked about this last night. We want to work hand in hand with them. We would like to see where the cons are working with us, whether it's ICC or whether it's HWWS, but we want to be able to be promoting these cons and streaming from them and doing live interviews from there. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. If you haven't already done so, follow or make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Meredith and I took over as managing editor of Geek Insider just a few months ago, and I brought Meredith and one of our head writers, or our head writer, Alan Daniel. And I brought them over because I worked with them on other stuff, but we are really pumping Geek Insider up. We have a podcast now. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms. We also have a lot of interviews on our YouTube channel. We have been interviewing filmmakers and writers and women in business. And we've got a lot of plans for the rest of the year, stuff that we had already planned before the worldwide pause. And the big thing is if you're an indie person, again, and you're a freelancer and you're trying to break into any industry, watch our website. Contact us for one thing. We love helping promote you, whether we do an interview, we do an article, or we have you on during one of our show or podcast or what have you, because we love helping those guys out. And usually, we don't ask for anything in return. Sometimes, if you give us a reciprocal link, that's great. If you've got product that you want to give us to give away to somebody, that's great. But it's that stuff that we don't require. But we're really building it up, and we got a lot of stuff planned over the coming weeks and months. We're going to be having prizes that we're giving out constantly. We've got Mobile Edge, Meredith mentioned a minute ago. They're giving us stuff to give out every month. And then we are personally, not me personally, but the boss, Geek Insider personally, is getting some prize to give out every month. We're working on that. And that isn't so much as an enticement to get new people over. It is to reward our constant listeners and our fans that have been around a while, because Geek Insider isn't a new site. I've been writing here for 3 years.
They're about 10 years old. The website is 10 years old.
Yeah. And, I found it 3 years ago, and I just kind of wrote here and there when I could. I was writing full time elsewhere. And then I saw the opportunity I kept seeing an opportunity. I saw the opportunity of the site to grow big and to really utilize the Geek Insider name and to leverage the partnerships and relationships that had been kind of the groundwork laid over the years. But I couldn't do it on my own. I was sitting there trying to write, 4 or 5 articles a day, plus run the back end. But Meredith has come in. She is now the executive producer. She's the one that makes all the magic happen on both the YouTube channel and the podcast. We are on iHeartRadio now. Anyway, make sure that you follow us and tune in, because there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. And I'm not watching the chat right now, guys. I was on another screen, so if anybody's saying anything, I haven't seen it. But contact us if you're interested. If you're just interested in attending, remember it's the weekend after Independence Weekend, so it's July 10th, 11th, and 12th. We are going to have a lot of special guests, and if you are just into cosplay, let us know, because we want cosplayers from all over the world. And we are actually, details will be coming, but we are going to have a cosplay contest. We've already discussed this on how we're going to work the logistics of it. It's going to work a little different. And so just make sure that you watch the site. And man, I talked a long time about independence.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. What I was saying earlier is with the lessons learned. We don't want to be just a total shill fest.
Right.
So, I mean, it's one thing that, the special guests, they get on and, they promote their book. We obviously want to promote where to follow you guys so that you're building up your networks and things like that. But one of the lessons that we've learned, and just watching some of the feedback over the last 2 weekends, is that there's got to be value in it.
Right.
So one of the things that we're really talking about is making specific panels and really going in depth. So we had a writing alley, an author alley, and it wasn't just sitting there saying, "Hey, this is my book. This is what it's about. Buy me, buy me, buy me." It wasn't like that at all. We were actually talking about things where the writing process, the challenges.
And there was so much good information shared.
And it was in such a short amount of time that it was almost like, okay, that's the bite-sized tease that I need for the next thing. And that's good because, you want to tease to the next thing and generate interest, but at the same time, you don't want to shortcut anybody. So there was still value in what we were sharing, but we just wish it was a little bit longer. Right. And so that's what we're gearing independencecon.com to be, is to have these longer panels, more in depth, a place where we can learn, but also network. And, just sitting in on these different cons, we're either here to be entertained, and there are some people who have, they're playing instruments and they're having fun. You have the cosplayers who are just, they're having the cosplay competition. And so there's entertainment, definitely. But
and just let me jump in here real quick. Don't
Yeah.
get us wrong. If you're an author or comic book artist or what have you, and there is something that you're selling, we do want you to promote that. We want you we want you to give your website and your social media and telling people, if you're gonna autograph, 10 of them, the first 10 orders, we want you to say that. But the main thing is that we want to be bringing in that insider kind of thing. We want to know your process. We want to know, what other projects you got coming. That's a big one, especially if you're a filmmaker and we're talking, about a show that is just arrived on Hulu or Netflix or Amazon Prime. But we want to hear that and the details of that for sure. But then we also want to know what you got planned for the coming year or, stuff that you're working on. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
That was basically it in a nutshell. We just we want to promote you, but we want to do it in an organic way where it doesn't feel like you're just out there and it's like, okay, here's your 5 minutes of fame and all right, get off.
Right.
These are things where, like, for example, we had the filmmakers and screenwriters segment.
That was so nice.
And we had people who had various levels of experience. And, I'm going to give a shout out to Matthew Smith. He was on the panel. He's made a couple of short films. He's got a few things in progress. He's getting ready to go to college. And I mean, he really held his own. But by sitting down with people who have been in the business, maybe, for years or maybe a couple of years, whether they're the producer or the director or the writer, anything like that, we're just, we're getting that bit of knowledge and like, okay, we're putting together, networking opportunities as far as mentorship, but to also find other peers, because sometimes, especially now these days, we feel like the social distancing is getting to a lot of people,
right?
And they're not used to it, So doing this, speaking to what Matt said earlier, it's not that we're trying to take over the bricks and mortar cons. We're not. We want to be a complement to them, and we want to bring value. And I think that this is the type of platform where we can do that, where it's not so busy with, bodies bumping into each other and, trying to hear over the crowd and things like that. It's a more intimate setting, and it allows us to, again, delve into the geek in the process. And that's what appeals to us. That's our kind of, that's our bag. That's what we do.
Yep, exactly. And the one thing that we really learned was, like you said, we need the longer segments. And that's why we're going with the author blocks, or with the blocks, I should say, because like the filmmakers block, it was so fun. We ended up running, what was it, an hour and a half over at the end of the night.
Something like that.
Because we just kept talking and we were learning so much and having so much fun, because we had filmmakers that had shows currently on Amazon Prime, and filmmakers that had another seasons coming on. And we just had, like you said, we kind of had the spectrum there. And that's what we want to see this next time. And Jackie, you being an author, we definitely want to hear from you. I don't want to say ma'am or sir. Jackie is kind of one of those unisex names. I don't know.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I've known plenty of both female and male Jackies. But and it doesn't just have to be for the cons, folks. With Geek Insider, if you've got a book coming out, you are publishing.
We do reviews.
Yep, we do reviews. We love to get that early copy of something and get to check it out and help you promote it. And so reach out to us at any time and watch the website. Watch us on our Facebook. Like I said, there's a lot of changes coming. And then, of course, if you are an up and coming writer, okay, and you're trying to start a career in writing, if you need a bio, if you're needing to pad your or to build up your portfolio, contact me. We provide a bio, a photo bio, and that's exactly what I use. No, you're not going to get rich off of it. We're a small site. There may be a chance for compensation after we see work and all of that stuff. But the main thing is I use the bio that and my array of articles to get jobs that I could only dream of at the time, because they were salaried positions that I hold to this day. And then some of them I get work like once a month, but I get my paycheck every week. But it's that being able to show that bio and that range of work. And that's one thing that we do like to do at Geek Insider, is helping those writers. They help me immensely. That's one reason I stuck around so long, as just an occasional freelance writer, because it builds up and it helps. And we give letters of recommendation. And then if you have those projects ongoing, we love to be able to say, this person wrote for us, a couple of years ago, and now here they are with their book or with their movie or what have you. And Victoria, yes, info@geekinsider.com, or just contact me directly, Matthew@geekinsider.com. You can also watch the independence.con.com.
Yep, I think right now is just a splash page. There isn't any content on it, so don't go there thinking that you're going to get any kind of information, because, like I said, after the last 2 weekends here, if I don't get a weekend off, I'm just going to start
right. And about
living out the horror fantasies that I write about.
But in about 2 weeks, we'll start putting some information up there.
Yeah.
As far as what alleys we're going to have, or what panels we're going to have.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the thing. By getting over Geek Out Virtual Con, we have the bones now.
Right.
Now we add the flesh.
And hi, Sherry Dawn. That's my daughter, my youngest daughter.
Hi, Dawn.
Sherry Dawn.
Sherry Dawn.
Yeah, she's got a hick name, and she'd roll her eyes if I told the story on how I gave her name. But that's my daughter.
Oh, we don't even want to talk about names. All right, we don't. I win on that one. Well, you might not know it by looking at Meredith, but
she's actually gonna do some writing for Geek Insider.
Excellent.
But we have been having such a blast with Kevin, and I was really, really hoping that Rob would come over tonight. I want to pull him in. I guess what's cool,
Rob Anderson, the Indie Advocate. You know what? He asked if we needed him, and I'm like, dude, he goes all day long.
Right.
I'm waiting for somebody to say that's what she said, but no, seriously though, he's constantly engaged and he's helping, and I really applaud him for the energy and the enthusiasm and the advocacy that he has for indie writers, especially in the comic book realm.
Right.
And he's live streaming all the time. He's got panels every day. And he's always willing to jump in and help. So when I said, when he asked, and I was like, well, we have a panel from like 11 to 1 tonight, but he's got a son. He's got a young son, Jax. And yep. And I said, please get some rest, Well, I even told Kevin, I'm like, you got to get some rest, dude, because you cannot get sick.
Yeah, that's what I told Kevin as well, is like, man, take a break. You don't have to push no buttons for us. You don't have to, come in to just kind of entertain us while we're doing this. That's why we wanted to come in, is to kind of give you guys a break and just have some stuff to talk about and promote Geek Insider, of course. Mm-hmm. But that's really cool though, because I can save that conversation to have with Rob one night on Geek Speak or something, and we can kind of touch on it here. Rob mentioned it over the weekend that or last weekend during Geek Out Virtual Con, that he goes, well, I'm not going to get into it right now, but fan art is illegal. And he said that, and I really wanted to come back around to it, but by the time the conversation went around the room, it was on a different subject, and I didn't want to touch back on it. We were short for time, but that was the one thing that I had really wondered when
your ears pricked up when
because I'd had the same thoughts when I went back to my first con in 20 years, because there was a lot of booths, a table set up that were selling artwork, computer artwork, in a lot of cases that were trademarked characters that these artists are selling because they put them in a different position, and they're selling them for, $10-15 a pop. I think it was 15 for one, 20 for two. And, and I bought some, and some of them are badass. I've got a stack of them this thick that I'm waiting to frame and everything. But I was like, how are they able to do that? And then you see it everywhere, and you see people selling shirts that they've made. And that was one thing I'd even thought of. I was like, hell, my wife is an artist. We could do some fan art shirts and sell them at the con and make a killing off of them, is what goes to the cha-ching, cha-ching. But I was, it kept itching the back of my head. I was like, how are they able to do this? Because as a writer, if I write fan fiction, it is either 9 times out of 10, it's going to go to Geek Insider or another blog or a flash fiction site or what have you. I'm not making a monetary money off of it. I'm not making a profit.
Right. But if you tried to publish a book, you would have to get a license to use those trademarked characters.
Exactly. Even if I wrote it and sold it in a con. So how is it that folks can come in and they're saying, well, I'm taking this Yoda, baby Yoda, and I'm putting him, like my wife, she's got that painting she did of baby Yoda versus Smaug, the David versus Goliath. I love it.
I love that. Yeah, I love that painting.
I think other geeks would love it as well. But,
she's technically not supposed to sell it.
Exactly, because then Disney could come down on you. And that's the thing. They have come down. You told me a story, and I'll let you tell it, about that y'all did the short stories of Star Wars. Tell that story and how they came down on you.
Well, my friends and I, we were in like middle school, and we were passing this notebook around, and we were telling we were writing stories. And I mean, at the time, Star Wars was pretty much everything. So this was fan fiction before fan fiction was really kind of a term or a cool thing to do. And the story was really well developed because we loved the characters and we were seeing them in all these strange situations and stuff like that. And my friend basically cleaned it up and sent it out to George Lucas. And we don't believe that he ever had eyes on it to maybe appreciate that you had a couple of young teenagers writing a story based on characters that he created, but that we loved so much that we took the time to do this. So I think it was probably his office that basically sent a letter that said cease and desist. You don't have permission to use these characters. And we're like, whoa, wait a minute. We're like 13, dude.
We're not asking to publish it. This was just
we're not looking to publish it. We just wanted to send you something to show our appreciation, how much we love the characters that you put out there into the world. And I mean, we were slapped back, and that was a very early lesson.
And then, a few months ago when The Mandalorian came out, and there was a big thing that Disney was having people pull, or sites pull, the memes for Baby Yoda because it had, a trademarked image. And they were really pushing that. And I don't think they're pushing it as much now. But why is it that Disney, who owns Marvel and everything under the sun these days, they're going to go heavily after some memes for Baby Yoda, but then they are going to let, me come in there, with my wife having done just a unique Venom or a unique Wolverine, Superman. We print those off, at $1.50, $2 a pop, and we're selling them, $15 or 2 for $20. And we're local, and so we walking out. We had nothing to do with the creative process of these characters. We don't have any right to them, but we're going to walk out with at least a couple of $100 for our weekend. I'm not, and I kind of went off on this tangent without having Rob to bounce it off of, because I have a feeling that Rob is under the same mind I am, but I'd like to pick his brain on how they're able to get away with this. If anybody out there listening tonight, if you do fan art and you make some money off of it, speak up. I'm not going to belittle you for making your living. If they allow it, I would do it too. I had thought about it myself. It's just, I don't understand how that is legal at this point.
I really don't think it is. And, if and people should probably, if you're doing it, you should probably be very careful, because social media, they scrub the internet for this stuff, and they will find you, and they will give you, a cease and desist, or they'll come after you, and it could hurt.
But the thing is at these cons, you have mainstream artists and writers, like at Wizard World, Austin last year. I saw, Sam De La Rosa. He's a Spider-Man and Venom artist. And he's, right, literally across and catty corner from people that are selling fan art of Venom and Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's got to grind his gears, though, because to be part of that team and then just seeing it over there is like you're making profit off of my blood, sweat, and tears and my creative, my creative property.
Right. And he's sitting there trying to sell copies of the comic books that he's done art in, and he's trying to not do so much commissioned art, but he would do a fast art, or he was signing Venom Funko Pops. So he's there trying to make money, and I know he lives up in the Fort Worth area, so he's driving 4 hours. But still, he had to get a hotel room and everything, and that would just have to piss me off if they did. They were taking my character. Damn good and well, somebody ain't going to do that with Harry Potter stuff. I ain't seen no Harry Potter posters, because J.K. Rowling's attorneys would be all over that. What does this say? Victoria said, I stopped doing it when I got a cease letter. I had a couple of items on Etsy that they were totally in their rights. I knew I wouldn't want my stuff stolen. So you're saying you were doing some fan art stuff and you were selling it on Etsy, and they sent you a cease and desist letter? Victoria, I know we're a couple of minutes behind, but see, and that tells us right there that shouldn't, if that's the case, it shouldn't be allowed in the cons. Alfred said, I've made a little bit of money off of drawings. I don't really do prints, and I don't make enough for them to ever find out and come after me. Mr. Rob, keep doing the great showcase of talent. I have a little kid to get in bed. Stay safe, all. Hey, Rob, you enjoy the kid. Read him a bedtime story. A good, nice, scary one, so he has some good nightmares tonight. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That was the stuff I did to my granddaughter. Your mic's off, Meredith.
I was going to say, Rob's ears must have been burning, because we were talking about a subject that's kind of near and dear to his heart. But yeah, you know what? It's the same thing with music. Be careful with the music that you're using. I'm actually noticing it on CyberCon, and whoever's using licensed music in their background needs to be careful, because what's going to happen is Facebook is going to remove it from the stream. Yep. So, really pay attention. A lot of stuff, the little commercial breaks that we have, I'm making sure that I have, Creative Commons, it's either licensed, public domain or something like that, because if you're taking the time to create the stuff, don't screw up because you did something you weren't supposed to do, because you were, I don't know, maybe doing a shortcut, or you just thought it was really cool, and without researching it. I hate to see some of these panels during CyberCon being, deleted because you were using licensed music. And I mean, there are filters all over the place, guys. You have to be careful. Yeah, Victoria says YouTube will remove it and take it down too, or you have the option of join ASCAP, and BMI is another option as far as music goes.
Now, I would like to check into that. I want to swing back around to that. Victoria said that, yeah, she had some Harry Potter wands on Etsy, and they had to remove it. And she's had some of her books, her own books, stolen and reprinted in country. So she understands where that's coming from. But that's where I was just saying, you know, J.K. Rowling ain't going to put up with that crap. So why is it that Marvel and DC are dropping the ball on this stuff? To me, they're kind of letting the artists down in this sense, because
and you know, at that point, maybe it should be the responsibility of the con organizers
is it just a money thing?
Yep, they need to vet them.
Is it just a money thing though? Because once you're set up, they're seeing what you're doing, and so are they going, well, since Marvel and DC aren't saying shit about it, we're going to let them go ahead and do it. So we're getting that money. And I want to really check, because I haven't done it in, God, a really long time, over 2 decades. I'd like to check into the process for ASCAP and BMI, because back in the late 90s, when the internet was, you know, an infant, we had several chat sites around, and we did streaming. We used real player, and we had a real server. And so we would stream and we would play music, and we actually joined ASCAP and BMI, so that we were doing things legit. And we were like radio shows. You know, I had my talk show, but then I would play just various music. And it was so new at that point that they didn't really know how to manage it. And so after like a month, they're telling us, okay, now we need to know what every DJ played, every song that they played for the past month. And we're like, what? Holy hell. You needed to tell us that up front. It's because, and that just became kind of a too much of a process. I'm like, man, I never know what I'm going to play. I always said that was one of my things is, oh, I got you. It was one of my things is I'm like the Texas weather. You never know what I'm going to say or play. And, so anyway, I'd just like to check into that, because she's right. If you are going to use that kind of stuff on your show, especially if you're a guest somewhere, folks, because you can ruin a whole segment for folks. And the way that these are being recorded, these are in 6-hour segments. And so you play something copyrighted that get YouTube yanks, you're screwing it up for everybody. You know, everybody has to go home. We got to take a quick break here, folks. Just bear with us. It's going to just a commercial break. Which one do you want to play, Meredith? I'll let you pick. Dun, 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 dun. And your mic's
ladies' choice, huh?
Ladies'
choice. Do I get to hit the button?
Yep, hit it.
All right, hitting the button.
We'll be back right after this break.
Cards, the Universe, and Everything is a trading card collecting battle card game that has a little something from everything. From the Old West to outer space and everything in between, Cards, the Universe, and Everything is great for gamers and collectors of all ages. Download it from your app store, and as you collect hundreds of available cards, there are more weekly, so you can craft up to 10 decks and battle against your friends and other players from around the world. And if you're an educator, check out cardstheuniverseandeverything.com for a special offer for you and your students.
And, you know, we've been running that commercial and telling everybody about Q. And then I always forget, if you are a new player over there or you hadn't used it yet, we have an exclusive code. Mm-hmm. You just type in, you go into the game once you're logged in, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's a 3 dots.
Wait. You're not giving them the code, are you?
Yeah.
I thought the scavenger hunt was still up.
No, it was, but after 2 days, I did an article that gave the code so that people didn't have to do the scavenger.
So if you're Matthew, we're talking. We got to. Oh.
And you know, I did kind of learn something from that, because some folks that did the scavenger hunt, what I did, folks, is I split the code up into several parts, and for people that were playing Q that got to go do it early, and that they had to go and find the pieces of the puzzle for the code. And so I did that for a couple of days, and then on Wednesday I revealed the code. But yeah, it's still active. If you're new or you haven't used the code yet, it's just Geek Insider 01. You click the three dots in the menu, it'll come up and you'll see a little ticket stub that says Q code, and you click that. Just type in Geek Insider 01 and you'll get some cool stuff to start out the game. Really quick, this is a battle card collecting game. There's many aspects of it, a lot of cards to collect. But the cool thing is, guys, is that you don't have to drop money on this game. You can get a lot of cards, and really you can collect all the cards over time, over a period of time, without ever spending a dime, because they do give you ways to earn gems and earn coins every day and every week. And so you don't have to spend a dime on the game to have fun. And they've got so many hundreds of cards. It's like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, except it's really cool. On the backs of the cards, it gives information about the subject, the character, the event, what have you. And it definitely covers the universe and everything. You got science, you got dinosaurs, you got history, and it's really cool. And then sometimes on the back of those cards, they got some codes hidden within them for some free stuff. But anyway, I am addicted to the game. I play it every day. You can catch me over there. I'm known as That Geek Matthew. How appropriate. Meredith is over there. She's always by her same name. What is it? Mary J 89? You're Max off again. Woman, I'm going to have to teach you. You've been doing that a lot lately. Come on. Where's the button? She can find it.
I'm working on it. I've got a barking dog here, and I just want to strangle her. Let me tell you something. Okay. I don't know if I inherited Brian K. Morris's tech bad juju today, because I tune in. I try to tune into his show every day at 10 o'clock, and today he just had technical difficulties, and my heart went out to him, because I mean he was glitchy. I guess his computer did like a Windows 10 update, and it just screwed up the works. I mean, everything just went to hell.
When you go to tune into his show in the mornings, hit me with a link.
Yeah.
Just as a little reminder, I need to set him as an alert. But usually in the mornings at that time, I'm working on pushing stuff out, articles out for Geek Insider for the day, or working with some of our sponsors and our collaborators.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be nice to listen to him. I didn't get to catch much of him, but everything that I did,
energy, and he gives so much. I mean, he basically takes the entire show, and he shouts out everybody who cares to drop a link or say hello. I mean, he's just full of love and energy, and I love him to death. And you could see the frustration, because first of all, it was like, okay, I guess they had a problem signing on, and then the video was glitchy, and it's like, okay, hold on a second, we're working on the technical difficulties, and he's holding up his never mind the nevermore sign, and things were going okay for a couple of minutes, and it was just like, when you kind of recover after things went to hell, and you're like, okay, I can breathe, all things are good, and then it went to hell again, and then you're like, Hulk smash, you just want to break shit. And I could see it on his face, and I just wanted to give him a big hug, so I wanted to shout him out. But here's what happened to me. I literally spent all day parsing out a video, and it was part of the virtual con replay that we were doing. And I was 75% done of saving this file, and then the electricity went out. It didn't even go out for like 15 minutes or an hour or something like that. I think I probably could have lived with it if that happened. If like the electricity was out, it went out for 1 second. Okay. The clock on my stove was still going. That wasn't affected, but my computer was just like, yeah, screw you. Yeah. And I've got to start over. So when we're done with this broadcast, guess what I'm doing? I'm resaving the file. Hopefully it auto-saved, so I don't have to start from scratch, because then you want to see a Hulk smash moment.
Well, you were so mad. You were so mad. You said a little phrase, and it cracked me the hell up. She said, "I'm pissing hornets," and I was like, "Holy shit!" Yep, Meredith is mad. I'm pissing hornets. I had never heard that one before, but I loved it. And swinging around to Victoria there, she's saying some of those cons really want those vendor dollars, and you're exactly right. The brick and mortars. And I do understand that, but there has to be that line. You have to protect the people that are the people that are at the cons, the ones that are the whole reason that we have cons to begin with. But what you also have to watch for in this day and age, folks, especially right now, is the virtual cons that are cropping up all over. That
they want your dollars too.
Exactly. And they're not doing it for a legitimate charity or legitimate cause, or they're not doing it just to try to help. That's what we're doing it for. We want to entertain our audience and the folks that are stuck at home, but B, we want to help the talent that's out there.
Yeah.
that either they don't get the access to the platforms to be able to promote their stuff, or they just don't have enough promotion. They just need a little bit of help, or they're having, what a lot of people don't take into account. And we talked about this before, and I bring it up a lot because we go to these cons, guys. What you have to remember is that every single person is there hoping that they break even. That's all they're hoping for. They're not trying to make a ton of money. They want to meet fans. They want to get their name out there, get their product into your hands. They're, most of the time they're driving at least, a few hours, if not traveling by flight to get there. They're hauling around content, that they have to bring, back and forth. They're paying for a table, which is never cheap. And then they're having to pay for their lodging if they're not sleeping in their car. And then, of course, their food and everything. And they're not hoping, I'm going to go this weekend and make a couple $1,000s. They're just hoping to at least break even, so they're not out of pocket, but that they get to network. They get, like I said, meeting the fans. You guys, that's their whole thing that they love to do, is meeting the folks that enjoy sharing their creation. As a writer, that's something that I've enjoyed over the years so much, is people going, man, even if it's just an article, man, I really enjoyed that article. I like your writing style. And if it's critical, dude, what the hell were you smoking that night when you wrote that article? And it's like, well, when am I not smoking? No, I'm just kidding. But you have to watch out for these cons, that especially you content creators, Victoria and Brenda, Rob knows this. It can be enticing to jump in and go, okay, well, I am stuck at home. I'm utilizing the time to get a lot more content, and so I want to get a lot more networking, and maybe I will drop $100 with this con that's coming up. And that's cool if it's going to get you your value. If you're going to get the networking, you're going to get the traffic, you're going to get the names out there. It may well be worth it. Just do your due diligence. Just because it's, a virtual con and you see some stickers on there that seem legit, do a little homework first. Talk to some folks that have been around the cons, and that, check in to see how new the site is, because there are a lot of these folks, just like people that were jumping on Amazon, selling hand sanitizer for $1,000 a bottle, or toilet paper for $500 a square, or whatever. You're going to have these people that try to take advantage of us, because, as Rob put it, man, this is our time. This is the indies time, because you're not bound by contract. You're not bound by having to be in the office to be able to collaborate with a team for your project. And so a lot of you, I know, are utilizing this time, like I said, to create more content. And when things open back up, guys, those are going to be the times when you're going to be able to get more eyes on your stuff, because the studios, the networks, the streaming services are all going to be hungry for content. Mm-hmm. And so, and I'm sitting there needing to practice what I preach, because I've got a shit ton that is up here that's not on paper yet. And I have stuck to my New Year's resolution for the most part, but the thing that I have to do is in the evenings, once I quit working at 5 o'clock, I've got to spend a couple of hours writing my own. And that's a reoccurring theme that we've heard from the artists and from the writers that we've had last night, and the comic book writers that we had last night, and then the guests we had last weekend, is that you have to make that time. You can't make excuses. You can't. And right now, I forget who said it. I think it was Rob, but it may have well been Kevin, that said, if we come out the other side of this and you don't have work done, you have no one. The problem is you. It's not a matter of not having enough time in the day. It's not a matter of work overpowering. It's not a matter of the family. If we come through this and you're a creative person and you're wanting to get something going, if we come out of this and you don't have something fleshed out, the problem isn't time, it's you. And that was exactly right. And so I know that I am a certifiable workaholic, and it's almost cost me. And it's almost cost me everything. Oh, trust me, my first wife would go, "What? That was the laziest son of a bitch I ever knew in my life." But no, I'm a workaholic, especially when it's something I enjoy doing and I'm passionate about. And I am passionate about writing. I'm passionate about Geek Insider. I love doing the interviews. I love doing what we're doing here. And so I can get those blinders on and you get down to typing. And I don't do 400-word articles. Meredith knows this. When I start doing an article, it is 1,000 to 2,000 words. It's thought out. I research. I contact people a lot of the times. And so that I end up working until 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then, I try to watch TV for an hour before I go to bed. And, then I'm not working on my own stuff. And I had to tell Meredith this last week, we have to have that stopping point, because everything, the other stuff will still be there tomorrow. It's not a matter of life and death that gets finished tonight. Mm-hmm. But if you're wanting to push your career, your creativity to that next level, now is the time to block out that, whether it's in the morning, your lunchtime, or in the evening. I'm going to work. I'm going to paint for 2 hours tonight. I'm going to write for 2 hours tonight. I'm going to edit for 2 hours tonight, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. You have to be working on this now, and it is your time to shine, folks. I can't express this enough. When even before the world completely opens back up, they're gonna be looking for content, because look at this. We talked about this earlier, like the writer's strike. When we came out of the writer's strike, there were so many good shows that were ruined. Heroes is the main,
and they never came back. They never came back.
And they even tried to do Rebirth, and you just can't, you can't capture that lightning in a bottle again. And so some shows, they're going to come back, but the magic's going to be gone. People are going to be getting back out in the world, and movie theaters aren't going to be the same anymore, folks, at least not for a long time. And so you've got to get, Victoria's saying she's gotten her outline. And
if you haven't gotten something at least outlined, I have to wonder how much you've slacked off. And I mean, that's the absolute truth. Here's the thing that I was telling people right from the beginning. I mean, we are in week 6 or going into week 7 of kind of like this self-quarantine, self-distancing world that we're in now. And I really don't want to talk about COVID tonight, but I do want to talk about if you are home. Okay. I'm sure that you all can relate to, you're working, and then all of a sudden, you have vacation coming up, but you have no place to go, so you're kind of like staycationing, and that's fine. So maybe the first couple of days, all you do is sleep, I'm like, oh, it's so nice. I don't have to wake up to an alarm clock, and, my day is my own, and blah, blah, blah. And that's great for day 1 or 2, but then you get into a week. Then you get into the second week and people start going crazy. And the reason why is because we need a schedule. Yep. And so you need a schedule. Things are really tough. We keep ourselves busy because, Geek Insider it's all virtual. We're working from home. We have the benefit of doing that. But from our experience, we know how to portion out our day because we have to have the discipline to do that. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They would rather just sit there, lay on the couch with the bag of potato chips and the crumbs, and maybe they're in like, you know, they've worn the same shirt for 3 days. You know, they can't remember the last time they showered and stuff. And, you know, they've gone through all of, right. And they've gone through all the Netflix movies and shows that they want to, but, you know, and then they're feeling lost. You have to create a schedule for yourself. So no, you don't have to wake up to, maybe you don't have to wake up to an alarm clock. That's fine. But portion out a day, make sure that you maybe have a nice breakfast. Go for a walk if you can, or exercise at home. Portion out a day to do some reading, and then just, you know, okay, I'm done. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to go do something else. Maybe I'll clean a bedroom. Maybe I'll clean a closet. But you have to put together a routine for yourself, and then have, you know, like you were going to work, you know, okay, it's 6 o'clock. It's time to do home stuff. So then you're like, okay, you know, prepping for dinner and all that.
Right.
We need that. We need to give ourselves that discipline, the boundaries, and the structure. And it speaks to this period of time where you should be using this time to be as creative as possible. You know, whatever it is that you thought that you always wanted to do, whether it's to write, to do art, anything. I mean, launch a podcast. Crap, you know, who knew that we were going to be on the air?
Right. If you'd have told us 5 months ago in January that we were,
we would have been like, what? Get out of here.
Right.
You know, but you have to roll with it, and you have to seize those opportunities, because that's exactly what this is. You will never find a better time to put out your creative endeavors and network with people, because you have the time to do that. For me personally, I'm going to share this. I have an anthology of short fiction. It's a novella-sized anthology of thrillers. And I took one of the stories and I kind of converted it into a comic book format. You know, because I'm learning right now how to script for a comic book. And the more I'm learning, I'm realizing, okay, there isn't a standard, you know, like you would normal writing, you know, like novel writing or anything like that. And it's not like a standard script format like you would a script for a film or TV show. You know, so it's like, so I'm learning all of these things. I'm like, okay, well, how can I take this little story and maybe script it out, include all the information in it. And I actually took this story and I submitted it. I'm not going to say to who, because I haven't heard back to say whether or not it was accepted. But I mean, it would be so cool, because it's something that I've always wanted to do. And it was always in the back burner, like way, way, way back burner, because I didn't think that it was ever going to be possible. Like, how am I ever going to find, like, I can write the words, but I can't draw the pictures. And to learn about this whole process of comic book making, you know, when it comes to, you know, from finding the writer to finding maybe somebody else who isn't the writer, who can take it and parcel it out into a script, to the person who is going to letter it, to the ink, to the drawings, to the colors, and then the printers. Is like, holy crap. You know, I mean, you look at a comic book and you're like, oh, that's nice. But I mean, you never appreciate the amount of work that goes into it to get to the finished product, you know? And it's so, for me, it's rejuvenating. And this is the time to do that. And these cons and, you know, joining OnCon, another shout out to Rob Anderson, you know, listening to Nevermind the Nevermore in the morning with Brian K. Morris, networking with ICC, the Independent Creators Connection, and the Indie Originals guys, because I love them to death. I mean, it was just one of those things where, you know, you meet them and you just intuitively know. It was like, I want to be around these people because they've got the energy, they've got the creativity, and they've got the knowledge where I can learn. And to me, learning is so exciting. So this is the time, guys. Seize the opportunity.
And, you know, and that's the thing with the cons, with Virtual Con. If you go back to our YouTube channel, you can watch them in segments. Meredith is getting them loaded up. We're broken into segments, but you can go and watch the Artist Alley and the panel, the writers panel, the filmmakers panel. And I really advise you to do so if you're one that is wanting to break into those areas. Do we reveal, you know, something groundbreaking? Probably not, but I would be willing to bet that there's some interesting tidbits in there and some information. And that's another thing that we've kind of touched on it with about being a guest and getting the network. But that was one thing I heard all last night here and last week at our Virtual Con was people going, after they heard what project somebody was working on, they're going, listen, you've really got to talk to this person, or I'm going to shoot you the email for this person. You two really need to talk. And that's one thing that's really, really cool about what we've put together and then what they put together here with CyberCon, because it's not just people trying to sell things. It is folks that want to genuinely help each other. And so keep your eyes out for everything. If you want to catch the show, like I said, it's on YouTube, but you can also just go to geekoutvc.com. We have landing pages for all of the guests, or most of the guests.
We're still working on that, believe it or not. And just because Geek Out Virtual Con is done doesn't mean that we're done uploading the profiles and things. You know, some of them came in a little late, and we're like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. But those profile pages are not going away. They're staying on Geek Out.
And there's some great comic books that are coming out. I keep bringing up the kid. I don't even know if he knows it.
Oh, shout out to him. Yeah. You know what? At the end of the show, we're actually going to be shouting out. I'm going to go down my list of guests and things and shout them out at the end of this. But but we do have a quick break that we need to put in here.
I got it right here. We'll be right back, guys.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is Jake Estrada from Indie Originals. This year, for Indie Originals 2020, we've added another category, and that's comic books, independent comic book creators. That's right, guys. Here we are. We're inside a comic book shop, and look at all these beautiful comic books. I want to tell you, indie comics are the backbone of Marvel and DC, because Marvel and DC cherry picks certain creators, and they make these guys superstars. So that's why we added comic books. Because I'm a comic book guy as well. I'm the creator of Book Us, soon to be released feature film. And we also have Terrence Baker as a judge, along with Nino Mazzarina, who does the Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man, along with his little comic strip that he does for the Chicago Tribune. You need to sign up. You can go to www.indieoriginals.com and sign up for the Indie Originals Comic Book Contest. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Peace out.
Yeah, comic.
Oh,
gosh. I love him.
I do too.
Seriously, you know, you're not going to find another opportunity like that. Well, I mean, you will, but these guys are great. I mean, they love indie creators, and it's not just comic books, guys. It's authors. They're looking for short stories, novel length, different genres. It doesn't matter. They've got a section for musicians and things. So, I mean, really, check them out, indieoriginals.com. And here's the thing. This was something, it wasn't necessarily from our virtual con last week, but it was something that Chuck had said before. If you are at a bookstore, let's say, okay, and you have a choice between two books, and one of them has the winner laurel, you know, because it won an award for something, and the other one doesn't, you're more likely to go with the one that's got the award, even though you might not know exactly where that award came from or who put it there. It was vetted by somebody.
Right.
it was read by somebody else and it won an award. So, when you're making that choice between A and B, you're more likely to go with the one that's got the laurel on it. And that's one of the things about indie originals is that they have these awards, and you know what? It's legit. They've got a group of people who are in the industry, and they're vetting your work. And if you win, you get that option of putting that laurel on your work, and it helps. Every little bit helps.
Well, and that's just like when we came across Hijab on Amazon Prime. The one thing that immediately caught my eye was that they had all these freaking awards from different indie film festivals.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that, it was an Amazon Prime original. And then it just blossomed. We met the people behind it. We met Eric Smith-Gunn and Pam Meisel-Smith, and then Andrea
Saint Martin,
and she was so great. And then they sang me Happy Birthday, which was just mind blowing. And, we talked last night and he was saying that, Kevin was saying that he got told Happy Father's Day, by folks in the comic book industry. And it's so neat when we meet these kind of folks, and they're just so personable. And then now I consider Eric and Pam friends. I had a medical scare in February, and they were checking on me a lot, even more than my family was, other than my wife. But that's what initially drew me to them, was that they had that little seal on there, or several seals, saying, that they'd gotten Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Screenplay in these different places. And that's the kind of thing that indie originals can do for you folks. And now is the time to at least get your outline down. And we don't mean just, ABC. You need to flesh it out on where that character building is going to go in that chapter, and what, high points and low points are going to go on. Flesh it out, get you a real outline at this point. And so that way, that gives you that starting point. And if you are a writer that's like me, once you get that ball rolling with that outline, then it starts itching back here. And, then you're starting to go, okay, I want to get through the chores here in the house. So I want to put in an extra hour today, because you start fleshing it all out, and it starts, being a living thing in your head. You start seeing it like a movie playing out in your mind's eye, and you basically have to give birth to that child. You have to get it out on paper. And that's where it all starts, is with that outline. And again, I need to practice what I preach. I have, when I open up pages, there's about a dozen that are down at the bottom that are either outlines or they're quick little sketches, or not sketches, but blurbs of the idea that I had. And I don't put them together because I don't want ideas to run together. But it was funny. A couple of months ago, I was going through them, and one came up, and there was 600 words written. I go through and read, and I'm like, this is pretty good. But I didn't leave myself an outline. I have no freaking clue where I was going with this thing. And the way that where I stopped, it gives me no indication of what I was doing. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. And it must have just been one of those nights. My muse was there. I was locked in, and I was just like, okay, I got to get this down. And it may have been something that I dreamed about, and I got up the next day and wrote out. But that, again, goes to the point of at least leave yourself an outline. If you wake up in the morning, you had a great dream, and you want to just kind of sketch it out, do it. But make sure that you kind of give yourself the beginning, middle, and the end if you're thinking, if you had that idea. Because trust me, we were talking about this earlier. The further the day goes on, the less you're going to remember. And I can't tell you how many times that I had a great idea at night, and I go, oh, that is such a good idea. I'm going to remember that in the morning. The only thing I remember in the morning is I had a good idea. And that happened a couple of weeks ago. Alan, Daniel, and I were talking. I was giving him assignments on articles, and we were going along on some certain theme. And I was like, oh man, this is great. I'm going to tell Alan in the morning I want him to do X, Y, and Z. Woke up in the morning, couldn't think of it. Alan's trying to help me remember. He's like, "Well, we were talking about this last night before bed," and I'm like, "You're not helping."
It's gone. It's gone. Mm-hmm.
And so, go ahead.
Yep, go ahead. Well, actually, I wanted to segue into something else. So if you need to finish the thought, you go right ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to comment. Victoria, that's a good one. Victoria said, "I'll text myself." That is a really good one. I used to be in a really good habit of keeping those little small spirals, and I would carry them around with me, and I'd use it to jot down notes. Then I also kept it on my bedside at night, and if I woke up, I could jot something down. In today's modern age and technical age, that's not a bad idea to just send yourself a voice text or a voicemail real quick in the middle of the night. Don't let that stuff slip away. Especially now, we've got Hollywood regurgitating stuff that should never be regurgitated. And we've got stuff that, it just seems like the same old kind of story. And so now to end this the way we kind of started it, now is your time to shine, folks. If you are a content creator or you want to be a content creator, now's the time to buckle down and really put yourself into some work. And before we segue into something else, since we're kind of running behind here, I want to run one more quick word from our sponsors real quick.
Oh, I didn't even have to do
NSCLiveTV.com
this.
is the premier site for comic book sellers to expand their viewership and have their live, reply, or bin auctions showcased while helping viewers find good quality comic book auctions or pop culture content with the ease of simply flipping a channel. They feature artists, writers, news, interviews, reviews, podcasts, cosplayers, and more. Tune in today with NSC, and you can enjoy the ease of viewing content without having to search through endless pages. Tune in today. That's NSCLiveTV.com.
Love that commercial. And you can find us there. Of course, a lot of you are probably viewing in or tuning in through NCSLiveTV.com. But guys, if you haven't checked out the entire setup over there, you need to check it out. There's just a lot of cool stuff over there. We were just talking about that people are running out of stuff on Hulu and everything to watch. Well, there's NCS Live TV.
NSC.
Okay,
so we were talking about the writing, and I wanted to segue into this because Geek Insider, we're looking for guest writers, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And if you're I said this a little earlier, if you're someone that's looking to build your portfolio, you definitely want to contact us, whether you want to just do an article a month, an article a week, or you want to build up really fast. But also, if you have something to promote, we have many different ways to help you promote, whether it is in an article with a review, whether it is just helping you backlink with putting a link into an old article, having one of these great produced commercials on our YouTube channel or our podcast, newsletter. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we can kind of ways that we can help promote your stuff. And again, one of the favorites that we love to hear from is those indie folks that don't have a big budget. And usually I'm more than willing to work with folks on the price, depending, on how big you are. I'm willing to work on that kind of stuff. So if you have something that you ever are wanting to promote, look us up, Matthew at Geek Insider, or just info at geekinsider.com. You can always reach Meredith on social media, or you can I really don't suggest reaching out to us through our social media, through our Facebook. We do see that. It's just, it takes a little bit. And Victoria, we can run anything that under the sun, as long as it's of interest to our general audience. That's something that we can work with you to put something together. Or if you've got something that you have in mind, we ain't all fancy in animation and high production. I mean, you saw about the extent of what we can do there. We can get pretty and have some music and get your message out there. But yes, contact us, Victoria. It sounds like I would like to hear more from you about what you write and what you do. So I want to talk to you for Independence Con, but I'd also love to talk to you about helping you promote your stuff. Meredith, what else do we have?
Well, there was a site that we're getting ready to launch, and it's kind of under the Geek Insider umbrella, I want to say, but it's its own identity, and it's Wild One Forever, an unchained female perspective. Now, this is something new. This was something that Matthew and Rhett were like, "Hey, Meredith, we got a project for you." And I was like, this was in the middle of trying to organize Geek Out Virtual Con.
She's not kidding. Dead on in the middle. I'm telling Rhett, don't do it to her. You're going to get her brain sidetracked. But go ahead.
I know. So they were like, we want to do this site that is female centric, and it's not going to be all nicey, and definitely, I mean, just look at me. All right, it's not going to be like makeup tutorials and things, though I'm not going to say that it'll exclude it.
Right.
But we want to talk about issues. I mean, and real talk from real women in all walks of life. We want it to be inclusive but empowering. And I really want to keep away from the negativity, because I mean, as women, quite honestly, I've always fit in better with the guys. That's just where my humor is. And, I've always, so I never understood kind of like the girls going to the bathroom in a pack. I never understood that. I don't get the shoes thing, but I am a mother. I've gone through empty nest syndrome. I've gone through the loss of a parent. I've gone through divorce. I've gone through job loss. I've gone through, so many things. And there are so many topics that we can talk about in an open and safe environment. When I was in college, it was, I was in college in 89 to 91, the first time around. And, back then my parents owned a bar in Newburgh, New York, and we were right across the street from Hotel Newburgh, where a lot of indigent people lived, people who had problems, whether they were mental problems, financial problems, drug problems. Right across the street was Ann Street, and we had the ladies of Ann Street out there. So just all of these experiences, and that was, Matt can attest to this. That was the time when AIDS was a really, really scary thing. That was like the gay man's disease, and talking about those stories of either overcoming or doing something kind. There's a guy, and we're talking about 30 plus years ago for me. I'll never forget him. His name is Sean, Sean. And I remember he came into our bar, and he was he looked like death. Quite honestly, he looked like death. And there was just something in my brain that just said, this kid, he's not gonna make it. There's something wrong. And he didn't want to come out and say that he had AIDS. And it didn't really matter to me. I wasn't going to be like, get out of my bar.
Right.
That those were the times because people didn't know.
Right.
And, he was just sitting by himself, and there wasn't really anybody else in the bar with me. And I was bartending, like I said, my parents owned the bar, and we just happened to get into a conversation, and he says, Wednesday's my birthday. And I was like, oh, happy birthday. I said, well, tell you what, you come back on Wednesday, because he only had money for one beer. I said, you come back on Wednesday, and I'm going to bring you a birthday cake, and I made that birthday cake, and I showed up to work, and I didn't know if he was going to show up, and he sure did. And he was crying because he was like, nobody's ever done anything like that for me. And I'm like, nobody. And I felt so very sad for that. And, he was dead a couple months later, but these are stories. These are real life stories that I want people to share on on this site. And, we're getting ready to launch it. There, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that we've got planned under the Geek Insider umbrella. On top of the podcast, we do have the main website, and we do have Wild One Forever, and we want those stories from people. So if you've got those, whether you think that you might have a series of stories and want to be highlighted as one of our writers,
Exactly.
those are the things that I want for that site. And if you're listening and you know a friend who has those stories, not just about that, but like the struggle now, I mean, it's just these things that, and I don't want to exclude men from it either, because I find it interesting that when you have sites like these, a good portion of the traffic is the men, because they want the insight, ladies. They want the insight. They were like, what makes her tick, and we want to help them.
But as far as the backboning of it, that is going to be female centric as far as running. Meredith is going to be the managing editor over there. If she has questions, she needs help, she'll turn to me. But as far as the running of it, we're going to have Meredith, and anyone else that comes on board is going to be female, because we want to make sure that it never loses sight of the reason for the site. There are a lot of sites out there, sure, that try to focus towards women, but one of the most popular ones is extraordinarily negative. You read that site and you come away pissed off or ready to go kick somebody in the teeth. But it gets a lot of traffic because they have a lot of writers.
What else is there? But what else is there too? Yeah.
And that's the thing is yes, we want positivity. We do want to open it up to everybody, not just females, but as far as the backbone, the decision makers, the ones that are really putting the content together and choosing who to bring on board as special guests or guest bloggers, is a female staff. And so that's something to consider as well. Granted, it's not going to be a lot of money, but if you're out there and wanting to get in on a groundbreaking project that is going to grow, that's something you might want to reach out to Meredith, and as it starts to get to fruition and we start getting ready for this, that she may have something that she'd like, to bring you on board with, especially, again, helping build up your portfolio. You can, and there's nothing saying that you can't write for Geek Insider and for Wild One Forever. We have another site coming, a tech site that's called Gadget Crush that we've owned for quite some time. Alan is going to be running that. That one is going to be reviews and inside product
like tech and development stuff, blockchain, I think.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And then Meredith, Brett asked me if he should share it yesterday, and I told him not yet.
What are you letting out of the bag?
Well, we have right now there are 20 sites that are loaded up in the tunnel or in the barrel that have been owned for years, almost as long as Geek Insider, and they've been around. They just haven't been utilized, and some of them will be under the Geek umbrella, and then some of them are just going to be little side projects. But it is stuff that we're going to be feeding out. So the thing is, again, if you are a writer, now is a good time to get in with Geek Insider, because you can show your style, you can show your commitment. That's the big thing that we're looking for. We're looking for those folks that are interested in seeing Geek and helping Geek Insider grow. And if you're there and it's just in your spare time, and every week you're posting a couple of articles, but they're good and well thought out articles. It's not just spinning, one of the latest trending articles. But we do like trending topics, don't get me wrong, but we like the unique stuff. And so if that's something that you're interested in, is doing blog work and doing something that you like, now's the time to get in touch with us. Again, info@geekinsider.com, or just writing me directly. We can get you set up with a photo and a bio, byline, and then, it's up to you on when you do writing. But if you're wanting to get into these other projects and really being a part of this, then you'll want to do as much as you can, because then that's going to be what opens you up for a staff paid position and being able to really be a part of the team. And we've got so much stuff planned, guys, because again, nobody is in this to get rich. It's not like me and Meredith are counting bucks, at the end of the night by any stretch of the imagination. We want to survive, but we want to entertain, and we want to get the word out. I mean, once the world starts back up again, and we can use some of our friendships and our partnerships to get that inside information on the movies, especially now that, everything's up in the air. So many of our movies for next year have been delayed. Thor,
even the TV shows, all of the TV shows. Yep. And everything's on the great pause.
It is. And, we're at a wait and see kind of thing. But we definitely are looking for writers. We're looking for, folks that just want to be a part of something bigger. And, who knows? You could end up with your own weekly show. Our Geek Speak and our interviews, they're always, coming up on our YouTube. We've still got stuff that we've done that hasn't made it up yet, just because it takes time to get those going. And then we also put them on our podcast, which you can get from anywhere you do your podcast. But we are also starting up several different specialty shows. Alan is doing his blockchain interviews and crypto and tech kind of stuff. Meredith has Lady Geek, which is when, Meredith? Sunday?
We are Sundays live at 5.
Really,
it's a show about nothing, guys. I mean, seriously, I took that straight off of Seinfeld. I've got nothing but, just kind of getting on the air and building up a following, and hopefully I'll be a little bit more organized. But the last 2 weeks have been kind of crazy.
And then this Wednesday, I will be starting a new weekly show that will be live on our YouTube and Facebook and everything on Wednesdays at 6 Central, so 7 Eastern. And then we're going to figure out our schedule on when it'll be up on our podcast each and every week. But that is going to be called Geeky, Cheeky, and Downright Freaky. And it's going to be really a hodgepodge, guys. I'm an eclectic kind of guy. I have a lot of stuff up in the filing cabinet here that either I have a pretty good knowledge of or a working knowledge of. But a lot of it is, on the geek side, or might be a little cheeky, a little smart ass or dumbass in some cases. And then there's the freaky. A lot of the show will probably lean towards the freaky kind of stuff. The worldwide hum, the Georgia Guidestones, the Mandela effect, the multiverse theory, simulation hypotheses, all those kind of things that, they're not conspiracy theories. I'm not getting there. We might touch on some every now and then, because some of these things that I'm talking about, there are conspiracy theories that tie into them. So we might get into some of that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to be, you can go to YouTube and you can type in Mandela effect, and there's 400 freaking shows about the Mandela effect. And so mine aspect will probably be my experience with it. I've written a lot of articles on it on Geek Insider. It is a phenomenon that blows my mind in a lot of cases. But I try to keep an open mind as to what the cause could be, what the answer could be on this. And as far as the Georgia Guidestones, the reason I'm doing that is because when the COVID started and the population was going down, it popped in my head, the Georgia Guidestones, because it talks about keeping the worldwide population below 500 million. And I said that to Alan, and he was like, "What's the Georgia Guidestones?" And I said that to my brother, and he's like, "What's the Georgia Guidestones?" And it went on and on. Several people in my family and friends, they were like, "Well, what is that?" And so I have to explain it to them. I sent them links. And so then I was like, well, if some of my family don't know what the Georgia Guidestones are, there's probably a lot of folks out there that don't. And so we'll be covering that. We're not going to go in depth, I should say. We might go in debt, but
we hope not.
Right. But we'll talk about that, and just any kind of thing that really catches my eye. And like I said, I'm one of those that has a lot of useless facts, but I know a little about a lot, and then a lot about a little. And so it'll really be just whatever catches my fancy for the week, and we'll discuss it. If you want tune in on YouTube, you'll be able to see photos and more, whatever I can find as far as proof for content or examples or whatever. But of course, it'll be available on our podcast as well. I'm really looking forward to that. I used to do an article every now and then on Geek Insider, and I called it F'd Up News, or Fucked Up News. That's something that I've done over the years multiple times, because there's always some screwed up people out there. Like, the ones that went and were coughing and sneezing on produce, they damn sure make an episode of that. And I'll call them out by name and show their mug shots. But I get my news from a wide variety of sources every morning. And so I see a lot of stupid freaking news, a lot of freaky people, a lot of cheeky people, and a lot of downright freaky people and geeky. And so that's what the show is going to be about. It's starting this Wednesday, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Meredith is on Sundays at 6 o'clock Eastern, right?
No, 5.
5 o'clock.
Live at 5. Remember, live at 5. So I'll be on tomorrow for at least a half an hour, and I'll probably just kind of do an overview of the con experience again. So if you've already listened and you're like, that's enough, that don't tune in. But if you're curious, do. And of course, we all really appreciate a subscribe and a follow and all that stuff. And I can't promise a follow for follow. Because I do really want to connect with people who engage. And, again, it goes with quality versus quantity. Quantity is great, especially if you're trying to market your stuff. But quality as far as interacting and things like that. I love people like Victoria. I definitely want to make sure that we connect with you because we love that. We love the engagement. That's what it's really all about. It's nice to talk into a void and stuff like that, because it's like, all right, well, we're occupying our time and we're having fun while we're doing it. But it's really nice to interact with other people while you're doing it. It just makes it that much easier.
And I'm sorry, what platform is she? I know we've just been talking about a lot of stuff and my brain's.
Well, I mean, we've got geekinsider.com. We've got wildoneforever.com, but that's not stood up yet. I think that's only got a splash page.
Right.
You can follow Geek Insider on Facebook. Now, this confuses me a little bit, because some of our social media is not just Geek Insider. You might have to add an S.
I think that's just Facebook, I think. Because our Twitter used to be that way and it's fixed.
Okay.
But Facebook, we had, like 10,000 followers. And so we just left it as Geek Insiders.
Yeah.
I believe all the links are fixed on Geek Insider. So if you just go to geekinsider.com, we have the logos up there for our various social media. We do have a Discord channel. We are usually in a back room of Discord. But we get an alert if you come in there, and if you hang out in Discord, park in the room and let us know you're there. It may take us a few minutes. We are usually off writing something or editing something, but like I saw somebody popped in earlier today, and Alan made sure to go over and say hi. We'd like to get that going more. I use Discord quite a bit for Geek Insider. I use it also. I go into the Cards, the Universe, and Everything's Discord. And so we do like to chat in there. If you have topic ideas or article ideas, we have a channel. We have a channel for that.
I need to get that link.
Yeah, and pop it in there. But
yep, let me get the link. You keep talking. Let me find that link.
But we're trying to build that up or utilize it more. I don't really care about building up the usage. If we only got 4 or 5 people in there that are bullshitting and having a good time, I'm cool with that. Especially in the late afternoons when we're all trying to unwind. Maybe I grab a whiskey, Meredith grabs a whiskey, and we sit down and just shoot the shit. Especially when it's like-minded people, folks that, are geeks. And I'm an old hippie, guys. I throw on a do-rag and little old ladies cross the street to get away from me. But I am a full-on freaking geek. There's Iron Man. There's Batman. What is that one? Oh, Punisher. Over here, we've got Punisher, Superman again, And then the tattoos are everywhere. And I'm just an old geek. And I love my superheroes. And I like the entertainment side of things. But my passion here, and that's one reason that Meredith and I meshed so well, is that we did want to help the little guys. And me, sure, man, I'm not going to turn down Sulu if he ever came and wanted to be a part of one of our cons or wanted to be interviewed. I'm not going to turn that down. I'd be an idiot. But I like meeting the folks out there that are hardworking. They're pushing their own stuff. They do what they like to do. And, like Meredith said, Victoria, please reach out. We definitely want to speak with you. And we want to anybody that if you've got a project that you're passionate about, we want to hear about it. And, if it doesn't matter, if it's something that interests you and you're a geek, you consider yourself a geek, or somebody in your family considers you a geek, you haven't come out of the geek closet yet, and you enjoy it, then we're probably going to enjoy it, and our audience is going to enjoy it. But we have had such a blast the last 2 weekends, folks. It's just incredible. The guys here at the CyberCon, they have just been hilarious. For one thing, they've been invaluable and for teaching us stuff and really just spreading the word. One, when they found out what we were about, and then they start spreading the word, or spreading our handshakes, virtual handshakes. It's like, you got to meet this guy and you got to meet this one. And it's the same thing that we found with the creators, the content creators. A director meets us, we interview them, and we have them on our podcast or YouTube channel. And then before the stuff is even posted, just because they enjoyed the interview, they're emailing us and going, hey, you got to meet this friend of mine that does this show or is working on this project. And that's the stuff we love, building the little network up, having some fun. And most of the time, man, we're just like this. It's Meredith and I on camera. We bring in the third or fourth person, and then we just sit around and bullshit for 30 or 45 minutes, learning about their project, learning about them. We always ask, specific questions as far as stuff that we like to know. And we just kind of have a conversation with them. And that's what we like to do with you. If you've got something going on, we'll just have a conversation. I know some people are camera shy, especially writers. We're in the, and I say all the time, I've got a face for radio. And if I can do this, you can come on for 15, 30 minutes and shill your stuff, because that's what it takes, guys. We had a marketing segment at VirtualCon, and we started with it. And at first I was going, man, I don't know if we should have started with this, but it was absolutely beautiful because it was marketers that were professionals in the, SEO or what have you, but they had some rock solid advice for us indies because of marketing yourself. And part of that is getting used to being interviewed, being asked about your product. I keep talking about Phil Falco, but I think he's 16 years old. And you could tell he was nervous. He had been to a couple of cons setting up and trying to get money for his project. And it's these kind of little venues with us, or medium-sized venues, that can help you prepare for the bigger ones. And it also helps you just get the word out there, because like Phil Falco, I would have never known about his comic if we hadn't done VirtualCon. And I went and looked today at his Kickstarter, and the first stage, I'm going, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I go to the second one, third one, fourth one, I'm going, yeah, I want this tier. So, I'm looking at that.
My goodness.
You can get this comic and this signed shirt, or get a shirt and all of this good stuff. And unfortunately, Victoria, TC Ford says Wonder Woman 84 was delayed indefinitely. And so they're not even going to put a word on it right now. They're just saying, once the world opens up, we'll decide. And, and that was another thing. I wonder really how the studios are deciding, because Disney has put several things on Disney Plus, Onward, Frozen 2, long before they were due on digital. And what part of it was just to help people out from being bored during COVID. And then others were, they got to put some content on Disney Plus. We all bought those damn subscriptions, and Mandalorian's gone, and we ain't got nothing new to watch. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because we also saw like The Invisible Man put directly to, where you could buy it at home and for $20, and then you had 48 hours to watch it. That's something that I thought the theaters should have done for years. I've been saying it. They make it to where you can't record it. You charge $20. I figure I go to a movie, me and the wife, we get a popcorn, we're going to drop 20 easy. And so renting a movie like that on digital, yeah, it cuts out the theater and it hurts them, and it doesn't get the money that it should. But in these times, I think that we may have to see a little coordination or a little mutual deal there where you have the option of renting it from home while it's in the theater, or still going to the theater to see it. I'm wondering if we're going to see a resurgence of drive-in theaters. It's just, there's so many different things that could happen. But I kind of got off track there. We are closing in on the end of the night.
We're closing it. And you know what? Because I was curious, we were talking about Phil Falco, and this is his first comic book. And I'm looking at his Kickstarter. He made goal.
Double.
Like by a lot.
Yeah, not quite double yet. And we only got a little time. But I definitely, if you go down and look at his tiers of the stuff that you can get, it's some pretty cool crap. Not crap, excuse me. It's some pretty cool stuff. And, that's the thing that I really liked about VirtualCon and about this one, is it connects us to artists and talent and content creators that I never would have met otherwise. There's no way that I would have ended up at a Florida Comic Con and been able to meet Phil, or I don't think Phil was in Florida, but I wouldn't have ended up in his neighborhood and been able to find out about this comic and this Kickstarter. And so, help us get the word out, folks, especially if you have creative family, creative friends of family. Tell them, geekinsider.com. We want to meet those folks, especially if they have a Kickstarter that's ongoing, because we'll throw out an article. We will help them promote it. Especially, we're not going to promote everybody. There's some crap projects out there, but we want to, we'll check it out. And if it is a legitimate project that we believe is a fit for our audience, then by all means, we will do an interview. We will do a review. And, like I said, we might ask you to throw a link for us on your Kickstarter page, but that's about the extent of it. We're not going to say, hey, we want $100 out of you for this.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that you're wanting to promote in the newsletter and all of that, then we get into financials. But as far as just self-promoting, that's what we're all about. And
well, Victoria, if you are signing out and heading to bed, we really appreciate you tuning in and sticking with us for the majority of the time. So we really appreciate you, and definitely reach out to us on social media too. We'll be looking for you.
And real quick, while I'm thinking about it, if any of you guys like punk rock, we had a guest last weekend. Their name is Patio Furniture, or excuse me, Sidewalk Furniture.
Sidewalk
I'm
Furniture.
sorry, lady. I'm so sorry, but it's called Sidewalk Furniture. We've
got some download codes.
Yes, I've got some free download codes for their new CD that just came out this last Wednesday. They got some really cool songs on there that include stuff about Star Trek, Star Wars, Stranger Things. And I haven't had a chance to give it a listen yet. It's been a busy week. But if you want a free CD of their music, drop me a line, Matthew@geekinsider.com. I'll reply back and give you a code that you can get the free CD.
I don't think it's the actual physical CD. I think
it's the download. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm old, and I'm surprised.
It's always a CD.
Album. Yeah, I'm surprised.
8-track.
Well, that's what I told them at first. Hey, now wait a minute, you're really dating us with the 8-track. But that's what when I was first talking with Riley, she's the lead singer of Sidewalk Furniture. I kept calling it an album, and I said, man, I'm dating myself. And she goes, that's all right. Everybody still calls it album. And I was like, oh, okay. So I don't have to keep correcting myself. but again, it's Matthew@geekinsider.com. If you'd like to get a free download of the music, I want to check it out because like one of them, they have a video of it. What was it called? Red Shirt Death, something like that. And they've got a video. I got to go check it out. They were great guests, really personable. Of course, we couldn't have them play live because of the social distancing, and so we had them in 3 different locations. We had the lead singer, the bassist, and the drummer. Or no, not the drummer. The drummer wasn't able to make it. We had the lead singer, the bassist, and I forget what the other girl did. Anyway, so that's that. Meredith, we're running out of time. We still had some people we wanted to thank for all their help. And
I will probably save my list for Lady Geek Live tomorrow, because I'm just going to do a rundown of it, and that'll give me something to talk about for my show tomorrow, because, we're getting, this is the witching hour, and, we kind of did this on purpose because we're good at talking, in case you didn't notice. But, we had a lot of content here, and, kind of going by the seat of our pants. But I am going to reserve the shout outs for Geek Out Virtual Con for my show tomorrow live at 5, if you want to tune in. We're going to be on the Lady Geek group. Is it the group or a page? I can't, with Facebook, there's just so many. You have the page, the profile, and your group. And I can never. But look for Lady Geek. It's also going to be simulcast to Geek Insider, and probably my own personal social sites. Just to help too.
That's the same thing with Wednesday night show, the Geeky, Cheeky, and Downright Freaky. That'll be available on Geek Insider's Facebook. It'll also be available on my personal Facebook. I'll probably push it out to Meredith too, just because I have access and I can go. No.
The bearded one's on my feet again.
Yeah, and then I'm going to be talking to all your friends and family and be saying, I want to hear.
They're going to be like, "Who is this man?" I spend more time with this man than I do my own husband, guys. All right.
But then I can ask your family. I can say, "Hey, do y'all have any embarrassing photos or anything that y'all can share with me?" Oh no,
man.
Accidentally shared that. That's Meredith circa 1989?
89 or 88, 89. Yeah, right around there.
But see,
I'm rocking a mullet, all right?
And I've got to get a better one. This is me, and you can see that curly ass long hair, and I ain't got much room to talk. Look, there's almost a mullet going on there if you look. And then that's, I think, the last time that my upper lip saw daylight. After that, I grew the mustache in. But no, make sure that you tune in for the shows. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and help us out, folks. Share this with your friends, your family. Share it on your page. Let folks know to subscribe. We're really building up. Like I said, we got a lot of exciting things. I know people love free stuff. There's going to be free stuff coming from Geek Insider probably about once every other week. We'll do different things for it. You may have to be tuned into a show, and we just give it out that night to somebody that's tuned in. We might have you enter your name for the drawing. There's just no telling what we're going to do. We're going to change it up. There might be a scavenger hunt like what we did for Q codes. But so tune in, geek out. We like to have fun around here. That's what we like to do. We definitely appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Don't forget that after we're off, there's a bunch more stuff planned all night tonight. I don't have a schedule up in front of me. I know last night they had more guests. They had more comic book stores that were on. They had the cosplay players and the contest going on.
Yep, they had the costume contest going on.
So yeah, and that's one thing.
I have to find that. If somebody's got a link for that, let me know, because I'd love to see who was participating and who made it to the final rounds. And I don't know if they pick up. I have to check the schedule. I don't know if they picked a winner yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that myself. Definitely like to find out. But that's something we're going to do at Independence Con as well. We already have a plan of action on how we're going to do a costume contest or not a costume contest, but a cosplay contest. And so be watching the independencecon.com for details on that. Because
I thought you went to bed.
No, I think she was saying thank you because we were starting to sign off. We said that we were coming up on it. I think that's why she said goodnight. But Victoria, we definitely appreciate you tuning in. Those of you that have tuned in, when you listen to these shows too, guys, most of the time you can comment from wherever you're at, whether it's YouTube, you're Facebook, what have you. you can comment there, and then we see it in here. We usually try to give you a shout out, unless you just say something stupid or nasty, and then we don't share it. Meredith, was there who? I have a feeling we forgot one of our. Oh yeah, let me play this one real quick. We'll say one more shout out, and then we'll say goodnight, Gracie.
All right.
We'll be back right after this.
Nothing says personality quite like your personal hairstyle. Blue Man is obsessed with creating hair-healthy products that make you look good and feel great. Paraben and cruelty-free, Blue Man products are made in the USA. Need volume or hold? No problem. Follow Blue Man tips to unlock a look that's uniquely you. Visit blueman.com. That's BLUMAAN.com.
And we did.
A good friend of mine from high school literally shaved her head. Not down to the scalp, but she shaved it. It's a little bit shorter than yours because I can tell you have really thick hair.
Yep.
And she shaved it out. I was like, man, I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to do that. You know, I would have some men in my household that would cry if my hair were to get.
You know, I'd always been with women with really long hair most of the time. Brenda keeps her hair really short, and but I love it. It's so much easier. Well, I don't love it because it's easier to manage for her, but it's such a good look on some women. On some women, you're like, yo, grow your hair back out. But
yeah, you know, for me, I know that I have a misshapen head. So it would probably be ridiculous if I did it, but I usually go from one extreme to the other. Like my hair right now, if I took it out of the ponytail, almost touches my rear end. And I've always let my hair grow really long, and then I donate it, and then, you know, so I get it to about chin length, and then I let it grow again. But, you know, a lot of the places that are accepting hair say that you can't have a percentage of white hairs, and I'm like, well,
screw you.
Hey, I know. I've got white hairs, and I'm very proud of them. And I don't dye my hair because I've earned every single one of my white hairs. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to find a place that will accept the white hair, you know, because you could take those out and donate it to another place or sell it for whatever. But anyway,
they could dye their hair.
It's like if you're donating your hair, you're not supposed to dye your hair. It's supposed to be like all natural. So that's what I'm saying. What I do. But I wanted to shave my head, and it's like, well, the reason why I was talking about that is because the Blue Man stuff looks really cool. Like I think I would love to, maybe for a day, have a mohawk. Because I've never had one, and I just think it's such a cool look.
We could arrange something. Our friends over at Blue Man, I could get us some shipments here.
Yeah,
and we could get you. Maybe we'll do it as some kind of contest. We hit so many viewers, or we hit so many followers, and Meredith will go with a mohawk for a whole show.
Let me tell you something. All right. I'm going to kind of let it out of the bag, but I'm negotiating with my husband right now because I'm actually considering shaving my head for IndependenceCon.com and using that as a fundraiser for a charity to be determined. So I'm thinking that, you know, and there are different ways, but again, you know, my husband, I got to negotiate because we live with each other, and he doesn't want to see my misshapen head all fuzzy and everything. So, so it might be one of those things where, you know, you maybe throw in a dollar per inch of hair that I donate or something like that. You know, it would be just something different. You know, where you can just pledge a certain amount for, you know, per inch of hair.
And that's something that we had talked about before VirtualCon even got launched, is we did want to do something for charity, but of course that time around we were just doing it for entertainment and to give people a platform. We will probably give it some thought on some sort of charity for July. Definitely going to do it for the Halloween show in October, which, speaking of, you can watch Night of the Dread.
Night of the Dread.
Yeah, nightofthedread.com. That will be our October Halloween show, which we are going to have horror writers, horror movie people. We got a lot of cool stuff in mind for that one and going to start getting planned. So if you or you know somebody is into horror, especially,
we want the monsters.
Yeah, they're on the creative side because we're going to start planning that one now as well, because that's going to be a big show. Not sure what days and everything yet. We have not solidified a date. We were trying to wait to see what the brick and mortar cons are going to do, because we know a lot are going to be back to back. And so, but I think we're going to go ahead and do like we're doing for Independence Con, is go ahead and planting our flag and saying this is when we're doing it, and just going with it.
And actually, NSC and Hanging with Web Show, they're actually doing a Halloween event,
right?
Necronomicon, I want to say.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I could be wrong, but I think it's Necronomicon. And, we might combine forces. We don't know. One of the things about these different virtual cons, like we had one last week, and I kind of compare it to being a smaller kind of like a hometown kind of virtual con, whereas CyberCon is more like your mega con, if you were going to kind of compare them. So they're two totally different flavors, but there isn't any reason why we couldn't work together.
Right.
And and so that's something that Kevin isn't here, and I hope that man is getting some rest.
Right.
So we're not going to try and pull him in at the end of our show, but those are some of the things that we're really looking forward to. And again, I just want to make sure that people know that the virtual cons, yes, it is seizing an opportunity, because you're kind of a captive audience. What else are you going to do? But at the same time, it's not meant to take over. It's not meant to replace the bricks and mortar. We want them to come back, because frankly, I've got a few things on the burner right now that I'm waiting, to hit the publishing button on. I want to be at these tables too, and I want to be, at the meet and greets and doing panels and things like that. These are all things that we all are looking forward to when the world opens up again. In the meantime, if this is the replacement, if it's the whoopee for the ones who can't go out into the world, and maybe once things open up, maybe, who knows, we might be working in conjunction with like being the virtual con of their bricks and mortar, and maybe forging relationships like that. So there are always opportunities if you go out and look for them and really hustle, and this is the time to do that. Again, we just can't stress that enough. Now is the time.
Yep, very much so. Well, folks, we have thoroughly enjoyed tonight. We appreciate you all tuning in. I know we had folks in and out, but we also had folks that stuck with us all night. Make sure that once we stop here, you just give it a second, re-click, or you can go to the main page and pick another channel that you want to check out. Stuff going on all night, all day tomorrow into the evening. And then, of course, Meredith said, like she said, she's got her live at 5. That's 5 Eastern for the Lady Geek. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel, guys. There are some great interviews there. Some of them are from last weekend or up. But before that, we had interviews with filmmakers. We had all kinds of business professionals, ladies in business. The list goes on. A lot of folks from Space Coast Comic Con that Meredith did her Lady Geek Quickies, Quickie with Lady Geek. And so be sure and check it out.
That's cheeky.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all so very much. Victoria, make sure you reach out to us. We definitely want to talk to you some more. Anybody else that mentioned up, and everybody stay safe and healthy out there. Don't be an idiot. I'm seeing a lot of people that are already going around and just, they're already being stupid. And so don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
One of my favorite things is from the clip from the Howard Stern show, and it's his dad. And I say this a lot. And first time I ever said it, Brenda was like, holy crap, that's mean. But his dad would go, I told you not to be stupid, you moron. And I just love that. Told you not to be stupid, you moron. But we've enjoyed it, everybody. Y'all keep having fun at CyberCon. We will see you in July at Independence Con. But we're around all the time. If we can ever do anything to help you with your project, make sure you give us a holler at Geek Insider. Thanks again, everybody. Say good night, Meredith.
Good night, Meredith.
Night, everybody. I got the button.